Hi everyone, I'm Janvi KJ. So, continuing the painting of yesterday, I'd like to tell that the techniques that I'm using today for this painting is scumbling and stippling. Scumbling is an expressive technique uh, where opaque and semi-opaque paint is applied unevenly over top of another layer of paint. Sometimes wet paint is also good, and sometimes dry paint is also good for this technique. Scumbling actually creates a texture also, okay, and which is impossible with direct color. So this flat color can be given an appearance. Thus, right now in my painting, this appearance is of trees or maybe colorful bushes. Um, and Also sometimes this technique is used for atmospheric masses, or representing intangible clouds, fog, smoke, etc. um, this superimposed color will mix optically, um, and somehow they get along with each other. So the brushes I use for this scumbling technique is always a dry brush, because the strokes of dry brush need to be quick, and uh, you know uh, you need not blend it too much, um, giving that broken expressive um, stroke of the brush. So I would say by holding the brush down by the ferrule and pressing the thumb down on the bristles will make those paint stick on the dry layer of the underpaint that you have done. So I have actually done a bit of underpainting for a few um, trees and or bushes that I'm doing, and for the rest I'm using wet paint technique itself. Um, so I'd come to a technique, a skill where you can observe the texture as well. So scumbling on a hazy veil of a little bit of purple or vermilion, or I sometimes I mix burnt sienna, raw sienna, and lemon yellow, and all these colors give that effect of a dry bush or a tree out there. So this actually produces a delicate mesh of blurred stroke, um, of paint with an interesting texture. When viewed from the distance, you won't be able to see the texture that clearly. It's only when you get closer to the painting you can see that okay, there is also some sort of texture. So when it comes to texture, I would say that I'm also using a technique called stippling. Stippling is a technique of many parts. It involves that area, um, uh, to be precise or cover an expansive background, um, which requires jabbing with the decorator's brush. Um, this stippling is made up of tiny dots of paint, applied with the tip of the brush, and you need not press it or apply pressure on the brush. Just dab. The dabbing technique again is applied on this also. So the marks made by stippling technique will be depending on the kind of brush that you are using, and dots of paint can be carefully applied with small round brush or flat brush, and the larger areas you can use a slightly larger brush, um, whether it is round or flat. um, I wouldn't say that um, and larger areas such as backgrounds can be quickly stippled. There's something called as nail brushes also, and some people use sponges to create this stippling effect. Sponges, I like to use it for acrylic, because it dries quickly, and on top of that, I can do some painting. Um, so, coming back to this, stippling with large round brush creates a coarse mark, and that's what I require here. I want a coarse mark. The result of stippling is always, a delicate textural area of paint with many possible useful applications. So this purple color thing I'm doing is completely stippling. This broken paint technique is quite common in oil painting. Um, uh, mm, you know, Sometimes underpainting helps because you need that tonalism in the painting. Sometimes, if you need very bright colors, you need not use this technique of underpainting at all. So I'm just covering up the last part of the area with 2-3 colors. I'm dabbing and covering up the rest of the area of the forest. Um, and that's it. This is my painting. There's a little bit of highlights, and it looks great for modern interiors, and where there is a plain room, this colorful painting. See you tomorrow.